all day.
Somehow it all comes back to food and drink. Or at least this town looks pretty normal for a change. I mean, everything appears to be running smoothly.
Even as the wolf packs battle fiercely among the trees for the land they claim. From far away, the forest may appear surprisingly peaceful, depending how you see it.
If someone had exceptional hearing, couldn't they tell what was going on from afar?
Do you see that ship over there? It seems the tax they are levying on its goods is too high, and so the ship's owner doesn't want to sell. I already told you the price for these nails is set.
They call that a hostage tax. They can see from his fur that he's got money, so they try to slip in extra taxes.
The skinny man is saying something in response about the expedition to the north being cancelled and how that has thrown off the markets in the whole city. He's telling the man he should be happy to get anything at all.
That cancelled expedition is causing trouble everywhere.
He is threatening to take the man and his fur to the courts to settle it. There are 4 other groups all having a similar conversation. The tax is too high. The cancelled expedition. The status of entering the town.
Oh.
You did not really order those for my benefit, did you? My drinking serves you in some way. If I am drunk on alcohol, then you are free to get drunk on the prospect of future profits.
Thinking about business is cheaper than alcohol. And to be sure, it has less of a hangover.
When I am drunk, I am less likely to interrupt your planning with my obstinate chattering and more compliant to your whims. It is a relatively inexpensive investment.
You are a wise wolf.
Well, your face always appears so much less of a frowning mask when you are thinking about business. And that makes my drinking all the more fun. No! How could this great wolf be undone by as few as 7 drinks of such a watery stash?
You're worn out from traveling, too, remember? Try to get some rest. Huh? Don't you worry. I won't do anything too ridiculous while you're asleep.
Oh, I very much doubt that.
I think it's time for Her Highness to close her eyes. Open for business?
Yes, sir. Come in. I just finished patching my apron. Like it?
It's so nice I can hardly take my eyes off it.
That's why. I always wondered why people had so much trouble looking at me in the eyes. It's because my apron is too pretty.
Or they could just be afraid of your eyes. After all, people do tend to get a bit intimidated around beautiful things.
Too bad, because I can tell instantly if I trust someone by looking in their eyes. But if they never look, I'll never know.
And do you trust me?
Traveling merchants are much better flirts than regular townspeople. So, will you be eating or drinking?
Actually, I'd like 2 orders of roasted tail packaged to take with me. Huh?
The cook just left to purchase supplies at the port.
I don't have anywhere else to go. There's really no rush.
In that case, there's no better way to pass the time than with something to drink in your hand.
Okay, might as well.
It's unusual that a traveling merchant actually stops in for food. Normally they come by looking for information.
I usually pay for both. I was curious about one thing in particular. What's with all the merchants camped out in front of the town entrance?
Oh, those are all the merchants who are involved in trading furs this time of year.
Is that so?
Yeah, it's about the fur.
Most of them are the foreign merchants who come from all over to buy fur, and the rest of them are craftsmen who sell tools to make the fur into pretty things to wear. The reason they're all waiting so patiently is because the town council is having its big meeting right now to decide whether or not to even sell the fur.
You mean the 50-man meeting, right?
That's right. Trading fur is forbidden until it's over. The ban on fur trading means those craftsmen will sit on the money they've saved to buy processing tools until they're sure it'll be lifted.
I don't understand why people are so hesitant to sell the fur.
I've heard it has to do with the expedition to the north being canceled.
So nobody wants to be first in the market with a large amount.
That's business. Like me, my place is usually packed with people at this time of year.
I wonder if it'd be okay to sell furs to the merchants gathered outside the town.
Huh? Those merchants only buy for a good price. Unlike the knights and mercenaries going on expedition. Sometimes they even pay me with beautiful fur clothing that's really only fit for a princess to wear. I make double when they pay me like that.
But before the fur becomes clothing, it's relatively inexpensive. If it gets sold before being processed, the townspeople miss out on most of their profits.
You're a really smart guy. But I haven't told you anything you couldn't have learned from any other hostess in town. If you repeat to anyone what I'm about to tell you, I'll deny it.
Deal.
There are about 40 men in that meeting who are thinking about barring the merchants outside town from buying any fur. Even though they know it might enrage the rest of the people in the fur trade.
Who gave you this information?
Who knows? Men usually show their appreciation of a bar by leaving good and drunk. Are you sure you don't want another drink?
You're definitely putting me in the mood to lose myself.
2 roasted tails ready.
Okay! Now I have a question for you. Do you have a wife?
I'm free to do what I want when it comes to trade. However, she does keep me on a pretty short leash.
Well, whoever she is, she's the luckiest girl I know. Darn the luck!
Those are loaded with furs, and those, those too. And that's good news. There's lots of money.
I will not allow it. You may never sell my tail.
You'd be too tough to skin.
But I can see in your eyes you are willing to sell anything.
Come on, that's only half the story. Think about the strawberries you see me pick from town to town while we travel. Have you ever seen me sell one of them? That's because I only ever resell what first I have purchased. It's one of the few hard and fast rules I live by.
So I trust your information expedition was fruitful as always?
Yes, it seems as if things are about to get quite interesting around here. Oh yeah, care to make a wager?
A bet?
I have some meat in this package. Tell me which animal and what part without opening it, and you can eat anything you want tonight. You saw all those traveling merchants camped out in front of town, right? There has to be something going on with them, or they never waste so much time just waiting there. They must have already gotten wind about the 50-man meeting's decision not to let foreign merchants in on the fur trade this year. My ears aren't great, but I will hear if you try to open that package.
I know that.
Have you got it?
Give me time.
Well, then I'll talk this out some more. To orchestrate something on this scale would take a large and powerful group. The Western Merchants Association is known for their fur craft, or it could be some large company looking to monopolize the entire fur trade industry. Regardless of that...
You.
Have you figured it out?
I think the preconditions of this bet we made were unfairly tilted before we made it, Lawrence.
Well, it's a little bit late to be mentioning that now, don't you think?
I suppose so, but
What's your guess?
I don't know the name you have for it. But it is from those river rats with the big flat tails.
Yeah.
I told you the wager was unfair from the outset.
You already knew?
When we first came to this town, it puzzled me because I had no memory of it. But that has changed now. All of my memories came flooding back to me. When I smelled it, the memory brought back tears to my eyes, and I knew in an instant what was in your package.
You did that on purpose.
Do you think I would take advantage of your kindness with a deception?
Yes, you always manage to do this to me.
I know I will never be able to forget your scent.
Nor I yours.
You sound foolish when you are serious.
Well, excuse me for trying.
Does it truly bother you that much? You made more than enough money when we were in Kumersoon to open up a shop of your own, did you not?
Yeah, plenty, in fact.
I do not have any right to keep you from opening up your shop. You should be free from trouble so that you can settle down. That is all that I want for you.
Settle down. You've got a point there.
The road to the north?
Yes.
Well, there hasn't been all that much snow this year, so the journey shouldn't be too bad.
My plan right now is to go to Nyohila.
So, you're going into lands that are pagan? Well, I suppose that is the life of a merchant. You carry a bag of money around to wherever the profit leads.
No matter how big that bag of money gets, none of us can take it with us when we die.
Then why even bother making money at all? It's a waste of time, if you ask me.
Why bother having any job at all, for that matter? Like running an inn, for example.
Well, that is true. Will you be leaving us soon, then?
Not yet. I want to wait until the 50-man meeting is over.
You'll only be able to make half the journey with the horse you have right now. After that, you'll have to trade it in for a longer-haired breed.
I think I saw one in the stable.
The man who owns that horse is a northerner. He probably knows more details about the road you'll be traveling, too.
What's his name?
His name? The man's lived here for years, and I can't believe I've never even bothered to get his name. The only thing I really know about him is that he gets fatter with each passing year. I'm sorry, but getting old is not for the weak. If I run into him, I'll mention you'd like to talk with him.
I'd appreciate it.
Of course, if you're determined to wait till the 50-man meeting is over, you might be here till spring.
Meetings can go on for that long, huh?
The town's fate is directly tied to the men who run it. Some years these meetings are easy, and other times it can turn out to be bad for the whole town.
But we all have free will. We can act against fate. We're all accountable for our mistakes, but we make up for them as best we can.
I can't disagree with you on that. You've been here for 3 nights, right? What's your name?
The name's Kraft Lawrence, sir.
My name is Araldo Eklund. In my younger days, I could have made you a belt that you'd have been proud to wear. Now all I can offer is a warm room and a good night's sleep.
Well, that's better than a belt.
He took 5 days to ask me. Why did it only take you 3 days to ask his name, Araldo?
If you remember, your 5th day here was also the first time we spoke. You are not what I would consider an excellent conversationalist.
And you?
I talk?
Then how about we have a chat? Don't you have business with Rigoro?
Yeah.
Something to drink.
Excuse us.
I don't know why that man insists upon heating up his wine. You appear hesitant with me. Would you mind telling me why?
It's not every day I get to talk with a female merchant. I'm always more cautious when I'm dealing with things that are unknown.
You're the first to see through my disguise in the past couple of years.
Well, we passed each other in front of the inn this morning. My companion has good instincts about these things.
One should never underestimate a woman's intuition. Though I'd normally never say that dressed like this.
I've come to trust the instincts.
My name is Fleur Ballon. Though the name Fleur isn't really suitable for business, so around here I'm known mostly as Ave Ballon.
My name is Kraft Lawrence.
Well, which is it, Kraft or Lawrence?
For business, I go by Lawrence.
And I just go by Ave. I don't like the way Ballon sounds. And trust me, I know exactly how much respect I'd get as a merchant if I went to work in a frilly pink dress and some makeup. So don't even bother trying to compliment my looks.
Sure, I understand.
I prefer not to be seen as a woman at all. But unfortunately, I'm rather gregarious. So I'm usually the one who blows my own cover. I'm quite charming, and I like to talk.
Well, I'll let you know whether or not you're charming a little later on. However, we're only really meeting each other tonight, and I still don't know why you'd have an interest in me.
It starts with the fact that for whatever reason, Araldo really seems to like you. He's a stubborn old fool, but he has a good eye for people. Though he isn't very likable himself.
What's that thing he's always saying?
I'm going on a pilgrimage next year. So this girl with you.
Girl?
You know, your companion. She's a woman. It's odd for a merchant to bring a woman along with him, isn't it?
We just traveled together. I don't think I could explain it to you, even if we were drunk.
I'm not trying to pry. It appears that you two are very comfortable with each other, and I can tell it isn't money that keeps you together. So she should be fine with our conversation. At least I hope so. Business can be complicated around here. I couldn't just walk up to you on the street and say, let's talk. That wouldn't have worked at all. It's why I mentioned Rigoro first. But the only reason I said that was to get your attention. You do want to meet with Rigoro, don't you?
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask what interest he is to you?
Rigoro is this town's chronicler. I was hoping you'd be able to tell me about the old stories and legends from this area.
That is definitely a new one to me. Not an angle on the fur trade?
Of course, I am a merchant after all. I would never turn down any insights that could lead to a greater profit. But one should be cautious. My companion would prefer I not.
To be sure, his library is filled with stacks of books that date back many generations, past anyone's recollection. He's a gloomy, bearded sot who'd love to lose himself in his books all day. But first he'd resign as secretary of that meeting if he could. He hates it.
Is that so?
All the townspeople who'd like to sit down and talk with him would make a long list indeed. If you were just to approach him out of the blue, you'd be greeted with blank stares and get thrown out for sure. I have a business relationship with the church in town here. It's been ongoing, and we've remained on good terms. In addition to his other duties, Rigoro has a regular job as a scribe for some of their administrative needs, so we've known each other for some time now. I know I've only recently made your acquaintance, Mr. Kraft Lawrence, but if I may be so bold, you seem to operate on a different level from your average merchant in the square.
You're giving me too much credit. It's premature to shake on it just yet.
You don't strike me as someone who'd get sweaty palms over a business deal. I haven't been able to read anything off you throughout this entire conversation.
Let's try this. I don't really need to know what type of business you're in, but I do have another question.
Go ahead.
What do you charge for introductions?
I'm not after money, if that's what you're saying. But I would like someone to talk to every now and again. I'm absolutely serious. I know. It sounds a little strange. But you wouldn't believe what comfort it is to me to have a fellow merchant I can talk to without having to keep up this troublesome disguise. It's worth more to me than any of your Lima gold coins.
I notice you didn't say Lumione gold, so it must have its price.
A girl's gotta make a living. In the end, it all comes down to money, doesn't it? Of course, I've never met this companion of yours, so this is just us. I hope she's fine with that. I've heard a jealous woman can ruin even the best wine.
Oh, I don't think she'll get jealous.
Are you sure? I've never known any man who could predict the thoughts of a woman. Or one who understood what she really meant. Well, it's not like there's anything salacious going on between us. I just wouldn't mind having someone to talk to every so often. I may look rough.
But you're charming and like to talk.
I'm guilty on both counts.
As long as my companion doesn't get angry about it.
Of course. We wouldn't want that now, would we?